There's something bittersweet in the air, as whispers swirl around Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. Fans have been bracing themselves for the inevitable fallout, the emotional crescendo many feel is coming, the impending split. But now, a new twist appears on the horizon. Could a surprise pregnancy be about to turn the narrative inside out? Setting the stage. For those playing catch-up, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage chronicles not just their union, but also its unraveling. From shared hopes to mounting tensions, the show has laid bare the challenges they face, disagreements over lifestyle, creeping distance, misunderstandings, spoken then unsaid. The audience has witnessed crying fits, late-night fights, stolen moments of tenderness that feel like lifeboats amid a storm. Rumors have built steadily about an upcoming split, and most insiders believe it will come, that the marriage is heading toward its end. Yet in such stories, the unexpected is where storytelling thrives. A pregnancy could be just that, something that changes dynamics, forces characters and the actors behind them into unforeseen territory, and tests loyalties in ways no one could anticipate. Clues behind the curtain. What suggests that such an angle might actually be in play? Recent subtle shifts in tone. In the latest episodes, there's been an unusual emphasis on intimacy, not in the purely romantic sense, but in discussions about legacy, future, what remains when everything else falls apart. If I knew what this meant long ago, one character muses. Another moment, Mandy, alone, staring at a baby picture. These moments could be symbolic foreshadowing or groundwork. Production choices. Behind the scenes, sources say the writers have been revisiting earlier themes of family planning. In interviews, both Georgie and Mandy have been asked about children, not as hypothetical maybe someday, but with an edge. Do you see yourself growing with someone even if you break? That kind of hard question doesn't get planted randomly. It's usually leading somewhere. Fan speculation and ratings. Producers know what draws attention. Viewers are devouring every small emotional push as evidence that something big is coming. Online forums are already alight with theories. Some argue a pregnancy would humanize both Georgie and Mandy in their final stretch. More to lose, more to fight for, more to break your heart when it slips. Timing. The show's schedule appears to allow for a late twist arc. With several episodes remaining before the presumed finale, there's room to introduce news that burdens everything else. It's dramatic territory. Facing something as monumental as parenthood amid marital collapse makes for potent storytelling. What a pregnancy would shift. If Mandy or Georgie, depending on what direction the writers choose, were to become pregnant at this juncture, the narrative stakes would pivot sharply. Here are some of the tensions this could introduce. Obligation versus freedom. A child changes agency. The characters would have to reckon with what they owe each other, what they owe themselves, what they might sacrifice. Hope versus reality. Pregnancy is both promise and fear. Could they reconcile for the unborn child? Could it bring the spark back, or force things to unravel faster? When love is strained, a baby is no guarantee of healing. Public versus private personas. Given this is a watched marriage, there's the external pressure. What will people say? Will they try to save face? Hide things? Show more for the cameras? Timing of split. If the pregnancy is real, when can a split happen if it does? After birth? Before? There's emotional calculus, leaving while pregnant, becoming co-parents, sharing custody. These aren't light matters. Potential risks in using pregnancy as a plot device. Of course, introducing a pregnancy just before a split carries risk. It can feel manipulative if not handled with care. Viewers may accuse the show of pregnancy out of nowhere trope, using life-altering news just to trigger tears. If the writing isn't sensitive, characters can drift toward caricature, the struggling mother, the woeful father, etc. Moreover, timing must feel earned. If there has been zero hint beforehand, many will see it as a jump of logic. But if small threads have been planted, as we believe have, it could land as deeply moving rather than jarringly artificial. What would it mean for Georgie? For Mandy? Mandy's position. Mandy might see this potential child as a last chance, either to bind Georgie to her, to give meaning to everything, or even to revive what once was. On the other hand, she may fear that having a baby won't save what's already broken. She could resent Georgie more, feel vulnerable, scared, yes, but determined to try regardless. Georgie's dilemma. Georgie, often more reticent, might be torn. Perhaps he's wanted kids before, perhaps not. The pregnancy could force him to confront issues he's avoided: commitment, fear of repeating past mistakes, responsibility. He may feel trapped, or see it as the push he needs to adult in a way he's been resisting. Depending on his feelings for Mandy, he might either get closer or retreat. Predicting the split. So, will a pregnancy delay or derail the split? Or will it instead become one more layer in the lead-up? My sense is that if this happens, it won't avert the breakup, but it will complicate it deeply. The split, if it happens, would likely come later, after the pregnancy is revealed, perhaps after birth. The show might force both of them to try couples therapy, reconciliation arcs, external pressure, before ultimately concluding that love isn't always enough. Alternatively, it could spark an abrupt turning point. Georgie or Mandy realizes that even with a child, their visions of the future are divergent, and that staying together for the child could do more harm than good for everyone. That moment, to walk away while tied by blood, would have dramatic weight. Why this would be a bold, effective choice. Introducing a pregnancy at this inflection point is risky, but it's also classic, dramatic structure. It elevates everything, raises the emotional stakes, makes decisions more desperate, makes loss deeper. For viewers, it offers a mirror. How do you make life-altering choices under pressure? Does love's history matter more than love's present? And in a world of predictable plot lines, twisting just at the edge of collapse, where hope flirts with despair, can feel startlingly real. Possible endings. Here are 3 endings I imagine, if the show goes the pregnancy route. They stay together for a time. Mandy becomes pregnant. Georgie tries. They patch things up imperfectly, at least until baby arrives. In the end, they may drift apart, but there's a period where hope re-enters. Birth, then split. The child is born. Joy mingles with exhaustion, resentment, unresolved issues. They try co-parenting. They eventually decide separation is healthier, but with more compassion. Pre-birth breakup. The pregnancy is revealed. It's too much too late. The tensions, finances, secrets, emotional betrayals weigh too heavily. They split while pregnant, moving forward as 2 individuals bound still by love or regret and shared responsibility. Conclusion. The value of surprises. In the landscape of televised drama, the most memorable moments come not from the expected ending, but from the surprise just before. A pregnancy before a split, if done with integrity, could be that surprise for Georgie and Mandy's.